Walking is a good start. When was the last time that you walked anywhere? I am not talking here about hiking over mountains and trudging down into deep-sided valleys. I am not referring to route marches either. Think about it. When was the last time that you made the effort to walk, rather than jumping in the car or hopping on the subway train? Walking is one of the easiest and most effective forms of aerobic exercise that increases your heart rate and therefore your blood circulation. That there is, and it is something that is available to everyone at no cost. In fact, walking will actually save you money, as well as helping to protect the world that we live in. It saves money on your gasoline bill and reduces the amount of automobile-generated pollutants that are pumped into the atmosphere that we all breathe. For example, taking a regular walk helps lower the risk of heart disease, osteoporosis and some cancers, as well as reducing your body fat and lowering your blood pressure. Unlike many other forms of exercise, e.g. jogging, walking is low impact and low intensity, so the risk of injury is minimized as well. If you walk a couple of kilometers to the store instead of taking the bus or subway, then you do yourself some good as well as keeping $1 or $2 in your pocket. Walking is something that you can do anytime, anywhere, and at absolutely zero cost. All that you need are a pair of comfortable shoes, preferably with cushioned soles to protect your feet, and leather uppers, or ones made of other natural materials such as canvas, that will allow your feet to breathe. Many modern athletic shoes are constructed entirely of synthetic materials, generally, some form of plastic, and wearing them therefore leads to an unhealthy buildup of sweat. This can lead to fungal conditions like athlete's foot, and having such a condition would seriously curtail your exercise program, so wearing the right shoes from the beginning is extremely important. Perhaps you think that you have no time or opportunity to walk. Let me tell you, that is just an excuse. Everyone has the opportunity to walk if they are willing to make minor adjustments to the way they live their everyday life. For example, if you take public transport to work every day, the subway, train or bus, how about getting off a couple of stops early and walking the 8 rest of the way? It will add 5 minutes to your journey time, but if that can add a couple of extra years to your life, wouldn't you consider that to be a reasonable trade-off? Have you ever thought of walking the children to school, rather than piling them into the back of the SUV and driving them the 1 kilometer that it takes? Walking it would not only be good for you, but it also teaches your children good habits from an early age, and there is research which indicates that children who are taught that walking is a good idea when they are young tend to continue doing it throughout their later life. You protect your own health and that of your children for years to come with just one small change in your daily routine. What about taking the dog for a walk in the morning and once again, last thing at night? You don't have a dog. You don't need a pooch with a pedigree, so go to the local dog rescue center or shelter and find yourself a new 4-legged friend. Walking the dog in this manner might mean getting out of bed 10 minutes earlier, but, as I suggested earlier, isn't that a reasonable trade-off for a few extra years? Sometimes, no matter how good your intentions are, you will have to use the car. If, for example, you work in a remote place without adequate public transport, or you need to go to the local mall for a full week's grocery shopping, then you probably have little choice but to drive. In this situation, how about parking the car in the car park at the furthest point from your destination, and walking a few hundred meters? If you are shopping, you are going to push a trolley with all of your groceries in it from the store to your car, so that adds a bit of extra effort, i.e. exercise, to what you are doing, and if you are working, then you are not going to be carrying anything heavy every day, so there is no excuse for not doing this. How much walking should I do? The answer to that question is, the more walking you can do, the better it is likely to be and the more your health will benefit. At the beginning at least, take it reasonably easy with short 10-minute periods of walking. Start each walk relatively slowly and gently, speeding up in the middle, and finish with a brief cool down when you slow to a stroll. Gradually, but not too gradually, build this up to walking at least 30 minutes a day at least 5 times a week, although it is not necessary that you exercise for the full 30 minutes in the one session. 3 10-minute 9 walks would, for example, be equally effective, so if that fits in better with your daily routine, then that is the way to go. However, you should also appreciate that 30 minutes per day 5 times a week is the minimum time that you should aim to be walking, not your ultimate target. If you can manage an hour a day, that is even better. If you are going to take your walking seriously, and remember that we are talking about your health and well-being here, so then you might want to invest in a pedometer with which you can count the number of steps that you take every day. Use this to establish how many steps you take in a normal, non-walking day, and then attempt to increase that number by at least 2,000 more steps as your initial target. At a brisk walking pace, that represents a couple of extra kilometers a day, so it is a good start, but this should be considered to be a start only. Aim to increase this figure as much as you are able, and your health will inevitably benefit from your efforts. It is only natural that there will be times when you are less motivated than others to actually take your walk. This is when having a dog to exercise with can be a big motivator, or taking the kids out walking would serve a similar purpose. Failing that, walking can be a very sociable form of exercise too, so how about trying to round up a group of friends or work colleagues to go walking together? Some of those people are probably paying out hundreds of dollars in gym membership fees at this very moment, and if you can show them how they can get exactly the same exercise benefits for free, then they are more than likely to take you up on your challenge. 10. Forget the elevator. Many people, especially those who live in congested cities, work in office tower blocks. They use the elevator every day of their lives to get from the ground to whatever floor their office is on. Still others use elevators in department stores, apartment towers, and so on. Forget the elevator and take the stairs, because climbing stairs is one of the most effective forms of aerobic exercise that you can ever do. This was clearly proven by a British study some 10 years ago, when researchers discovered that for averagely sedentary people, just a few minutes climbing the stairs every day demonstrably improved their cardiovascular health. This study was of particular interest because it supported the idea that taking several short spurts of exercise every day will make a significant difference to your health, hence the idea that you can walk for 10 minutes a day 3 times, rather than just one 30-minute session. The study required 20 college-aged women who lived relatively sedentary lives to climb up 200 steps in less than 2.5 minutes. This represented a brisk but comfortable pace according to the researchers conducting the study, but the first time that they did it, it nevertheless served to shoot the test subjects' heart rates up to around 90% of the anticipated maximum heart rate. Despite this, the test subjects moved from making 1 climb per day during the first week to 6 per day in the 6th and 7th weeks. This therefore meant that the test subjects were climbing stairs for around 13.5 minutes per day by the conclusion of the test, which, in case the point is not clear, represents less than a quarter of an hour of reasonably rigorous exercise every day. By the end of this relatively modest and completely free exercise program, the women being tested were measurably fitter than they had been before. Every indicator had improved significantly. Their heart rate immediately after the climb had decreased markedly, and their breathing had slowed as well, indicating that they needed to take in less oxygen to fuel their efforts. On the other hand, their HDL levels had increased, which is a good thing, because high-density lipoprotein is also sometimes known as good cholesterol. High levels of HDL in the blood seem to play a role in reducing the risk of heart attack, while low levels seem to do the opposite by increasing the risk of heart disease.